Hey everyone, welcome to my channel Singing with Lauren. Today we're going to talk about 4 things to avoid before you perform. So if you want more community, you want to ask questions about singing, and you want just somewhere to hang out and have a good time with other singers, I want you to join my group called The Singing Collective on Facebook. It's a totally free group and we have a lot of really fun, interesting conversations. I go live in that group once a week and we just love to talk about music in the group. So come join us. It's called The Singing Collective. I'll link it in the comments. And please, if you love my channel, give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It really means a lot to me and it helps my channel grow. So without further ado, let's chat about what to avoid before you perform. Okay, number 1. Avoid caffeine or coffee before you perform. Now, a lot of us are looking to be awake and alert for our performances, but we don't factor in that caffeine can drive our performance anxiety through the roof. So if you're already somebody that tends to get a little bit nervous before you go on stage and then you add a cup or 2 of coffee or caffeine, that is going to be definitely not helping your stage fright, but rather it's going to be increasing your stage fright. And because you've put that, chemical basically into your body, you're not really going to have any control over your nerves or over that anxiety that is going to start building up before performing. So if I have an audition that's in the morning, I'll probably have 1 cup of coffee, but anything more than that, it's not going to be a good mix for me. And yes, I still do get nervous before performing, as do most professional singers. So caffeine is a diuretic, so it's not going to help you stay more hydrated, right? So if you're drinking a bunch of coffee and then also drinking a bunch of water before your performance, it's just not going to be a great mix. You're going to have to go to the bathroom, you're going to be dried out, and you won't be able to sing your best. So like I said, if it's a morning audition, like go ahead, have your 1 cup, or if you're someone who drinks a lot of coffee, maybe switching to tea before a morning audition. But definitely at night, there's no need to have a cup of coffee. Just to work on getting yourself excited in other ways, but you don't need to drink caffeine. Okay, moving on. Number 2. The second thing that you really want to avoid before you perform is drinking alcohol. Now, I know a lot of you who kind of live in the band performing at bars scene, it's very normal for you to drink while you perform, and it probably is part of the culture. But I do really want to bring your attention to the fact that drinking and singing, although it might feel like it's helping you perform better, it's really detracting from your voice, right? Because you're not really able to concentrate as much when you're drinking. And also, it's going to additionally dry you out. And it's also going to be a downer. So while you might feel like it helps your nerves, it also is going to affect your whole performance because you're not going to be able to express, you're not going to be able to emote as much as if you were just singing sober. So, instead of cutting yourself off totally, if you're kind of in that scene, I would say maybe instead of drinking 3 beers before and while you're performing, maybe just try having 1. See how that goes for you. And, of course, I'm not trying to say don't have a good time, but maybe save the drinking for after you're done performing and see how it affects your performance. I bet that while you might feel a little bit more nervous, which I said before is totally fine, you will probably sound better. That's been what a lot of my singers have found when I suggest this to them. Okay, so the third thing that you want to avoid before you sing or perform is anything that has a lot of spice to it. So we're talking Mexican food, like that hot sauce, some Thai food can get really spicy, avoiding adding, like I said, a lot of hot sauce or a lot of cayenne. Even if you're somebody that doesn't typically have a sensitive stomach, when you have all that adrenaline pumping through your body before a performance or an audition, your stomach can get a lot more upset than usual. So I recommend finding like a pre-performance meal, and it doesn't have to be like a super intense ritual or anything, but just having something that you know is simple, so that you're not going to be hungry before your performance, but something that you know isn't going to cause acid reflux, because there's really nothing worse than having really bad heartburn and then having to do a performance. Trust me, I used to have a lot of problems with heartburn, and it is not fun. You don't want to put yourself in that position. So just have something simple, have something that might be what you would consider a little bit bland before you perform, and then you can go ham after you're done performing. So that, just to summarize that, it's spicy foods, things that you know that cause acid reflux, and a lot of times garlic and onions can kind of go into that category because they actually have a chemical in them that they make the sphincter that's in your esophagus a little bit less tight, which we need that to be tight when we're singing, otherwise we're gonna have acid coming up while we sing. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. So this is probably one of the ones that you've heard before, and that's don't drink or eat dairy before you sing. Now, this doesn't have to do with being lactose intolerant. Obviously, if you're lactose intolerant, you probably already avoid dairy, but really everybody should avoid dairy before you perform. And this is really one of the ones that should be hard and fast, because dairy, no matter if you have sensitivity to it or not, makes your body produce more mucus. And where do we usually feel mucus? We usually feel it in our throat, right? We blow our nose, it can drip back down our throats in through our vocal folds, causing a lot of irritation on our vocal folds, but also giving us the feeling that we need to clear our throat a lot when we sing. And of course, it's super annoying to feel like you have to clear your throat when you're singing. And if you do keep clearing your throat, that can really, really tire out your voice for your singing. So I would just go ahead and say never have dairy before you sing. It's just not a great mix. And while you might think that this doesn't happen to you, I challenge you to go a week or 2 without dairy and then have like a glass of milk or have some ice cream, and pay really, really, really close attention to how much mucus you feel in your throat. And you're gonna start to notice that your body does have that reaction. It's just that right now you might be eating dairy so frequently that you don't even notice it. So that's a little experiment for you to try. So let's summarize those. So the first one was avoid caffeine or coffee if you can before a performance, or at least avoid having a ton of it. It will dry you out, it will make you feel extra nervous because your body is just gonna be responding to the caffeine. Number 2 is avoiding alcohol, especially before you sing. It's really not gonna be great. You're not gonna be able to rehydrate yourself at this in the amount of time that you're drinking. And it's also gonna cloud your focus for your singing, and it's just not gonna allow you to have as full and alive of a performance as if you weren't drinking. Number 3 to avoid is any kind of spicy foods or any foods that you know typically bother you. Definitely don't have them before a performance. Like I said, just try to develop a pre-performance meal that you do, or pre-audition meal that you know is gonna be easy for you, not gonna be a lot to put together, but also gonna be really settled in your stomach. And number 4 is avoid dairy. And like I said, I think that that's probably the most important one. Hard and fast rule. Just don't have dairy. If you're trying to have a bowl of cereal, have it with almond milk or coconut milk. There's lots and millions of dairy substitutes out there now, so it really should not be a problem to just try to avoid it. Okay, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you avoid before you perform, or what do you make sure to do or have before you perform? I think another fun idea would be performing rituals, and what are your performing rituals? So maybe I can make a video about that. But in the meantime, I hope that you come join us in the Singing Collective. Like I said, you can find the link for that in the description. It's totally free, super fun community. I hope to meet you there and engage with you in the group. So thanks again for being here today. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.